now, right now. Right 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 now, right now. Oh, I got a real good feeling.
We try to bring you high-quality educational and informational content every single day. Why do you think the price is having such an anemic time? The news story of the hour. Jump onto the chart. Is this the beginning of a massive financial unraveling? We gotta add a little addendum to the show map today, so we start here on the daily. Now, we've been looking at the RSI on Bitcoin's daily chart for the last several days. It always has been, but it's been increasing over the last 50 years since the government has been. Hey guys, what's going on? Jeb here, and welcome back to Coffee and Crypto Live. This is your week daily morning show where we bring you the latest in everything Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. And in today's video, Bitcoin has dropped below 110,000. And a lot of you guys are so scared. You're so freaked out. You're terrified. The market's getting closer to your liquidation price. Your net worth is going down. You're fearful. Is a bear market starting? Is Bitcoin going to be compromised by quantum? Is this the end of crypto? It was the 4-year halving cycle right all along. You're scared. You're terrified. You're thinking of panic selling. You're really freaked out. What if we were wrong this entire time? What if the digital gold narrative is dead? What if Bitcoin? What if? It's okay to be scared. It is not okay to compromise what you believe in because of your fear. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is believing in something more than your fear. When men charge into battle, and they charge machine gun nests, they don't do that because they're going to get a paycheck. They only do that if they believe that something is more important than their life. When investors buy the bottom instead of the top, knowing that they could get annihilated, they don't do that because the chart looks good, because it doesn't when you're getting the best entry. It looks terrible. They do it because they believe in something, and their integrity tells them that their actions need to match their beliefs. Before we get to technical analysis on the drop that is happening, that we've talked about could happen, down to $100,000, possibly even lower, we need to address the elephant in the room, which is the single question that you don't want me to ask because you don't want to go there. And that question is, do you actually believe in Bitcoin? I was presented with a very similar situation that you find yourself in right now. Back in 2019. In 2019, Bitcoin, let's see if I can find a clean chart. I've always got so much charting going on. Back in 2019, Bitcoin had just undergone the bear market. Bitcoin had undergone, in particular, this bear market. The bear market where Bitcoin would drop down to $3,000. I found Bitcoin over here when Bitcoin was at $3,000. I started this channel over here when Bitcoin was at like $8,000. I decided to drop out of college, not go into astrophysics, later on not go into engineering, to start a YouTube channel. I told my dad that I was going to drop out of college and forget my 8-year dream of getting a PhD in astrophysics, being Dr. McAfee, working at NASA, probably by now SpaceX, to start a freaking YouTube channel. That's what I did. I torpedoed my GPA because I did not care anymore, because I said, I'm going to stake it all on this YouTube channel. And then when Bitcoin hit $20,000, I thought to myself, this is great. I made the right call. And then when Bitcoin dropped down to $3,000, I was very tempted to think, oh, I made the wrong call. You know, I mean, at the time, this is what Bitcoin looked like. Like, let's just draw the, let's show you this. I can get the chart to cooperate with me here. Delete all of this, 3-day chart, right there, start new, right there. This is what the chart of Bitcoin looked like at that time. Looked like it was dead. And a friend of mine from high school walked up to me. This was my last semester in college before I dropped out to go into Bitcoin and crypto back here. And he walked up to me and he just said, Jeb, I remember exactly where this was. I was coming back from the gym at Santa Fe College. I was in the parking lot. You have to cross the road because the gym's across the road. You have to cross the road to get back to the actual campus. I'm over here. And he says, Jeb, I'm so sorry. And I said, what? What are you sorry about? He said, Bitcoin failed. Like, you bet your whole future on it. Like, Bitcoin failed. I'm sorry. I just feel bad for you that you had this great thing going of being a scientist, of being a doctor, of getting a doctorate, you know? And it failed. And I said, what are you talking about? He said, well, Bitcoin's at $3,000. It was at $20,000. It's dead. And I just looked at him and I laughed. I looked at him and I smiled. I looked at him and I said, you have no idea, do you? This was almost 7 years ago this conversation happened. For context, that conversation happened here. This all happened after that conversation. And I'm encouraging you to take that same stance. Now, you need to figure out what it is you believe in. Do you believe in Bitcoin or not? Because you're about to find out. And it'd be better if you knew for yourself before the market told you. Because on the minute chart, we have a bear flag, a bear pennant forming right here. Bitcoin has dropped below 110. It has broken support. We're pointing at 104. The level of support on Bitcoin was right here at 110. As we predicted, that head and shoulders pattern crashed the price of Bitcoin. Bitcoin very well may go lower from here. I've been posting on Twitter. Do not go into longs. We do not have technical confirmation of a bullish reversal. I thought Jeb was in his late 30s. No, I'm 25. That conversation I had, I was 18 when I had that conversation that I just told you about. I was 18 years old. I was 18 and a half. I just turned 18. And don't get me wrong, it was hard. I mean, it was hard. And it was humbling. But I decided that what I had seen of Bitcoin's fundamentals were worth believing in. And I'm encouraging you to figure out today whether you believe in the same thing as I do. Do you believe in Bitcoin? Because if you do, as Bitcoin goes lower, you get more bullish. And the reason you get more bullish is because the further that Bitcoin gets away from all-time high, the better an entry you have. And so if we have this long-term uptrending level of support right here, and if we have our flat level of support here at $100,000, and we have a CME futures gap that needs to be filled, or not necessarily needs to be filled, but could be filled here at 93. And we have out on the weekly chart, I think it's a monthly chart actually. If we have out on the monthly chart, the 20 monthly EMA that's following here, and we have a tendency to back test down to it, and it's currently sitting at 87,000, but here in a couple of months, maybe in December, it's going to be at 92, 93. Then you start to wonder to yourself, is it that Bitcoin is dying? This asset class that has exploded onto the scene with tens of billions of dollars of investment from Wall Street, is it that Bitcoin is dying, or is it that Bitcoin is doing the exact same thing that it has now done 2 other times, which is that it's returning right back down to this baseline? By the way, this baseline is not crazy. It's not impossible for Bitcoin to hold this baseline. If you extrapolate this same uptrend out like 50 years, it's not even at $1 million. For this trend line on the linear chart, it's a linear chart trend line. For this trend line to hit $1 million, it takes it until 2057. Like, if you believe that Bitcoin is going to hit $1 million before 2057, then this uptrend that looks ridiculously just very, very steep, like, oh my gosh, how could Bitcoin ever hold this uptrend? In 2057, it's pointing at $1 million. That's how. It's not a steep uptrend. It's a very shallow uptrend. Like, if Bitcoin holds it for the next decade until 2035, That only puts Bitcoin in 2035 at being at 400 grand a coin. Do you really think do you think possibly that Bitcoin could more than 4x in the next 10 years when in the last 10 years, Bitcoin has grown by over 10,000%? In the last 10 years, Bitcoin is up 30,000%. Do you think it could possibly rally by 4x in the next 10 years? If so, then this uptrend has every reason to be held, or if it breaks, it'd only be temporary. It's a very easy uptrend to hold. I think I've made myself clear on that. So could Bitcoin break below this uptrend temporarily? Yeah. But would Bitcoin get back up above it? Yes. It most certainly would. So long as the global economy doesn't absolutely crash. So here's our prediction. Ever since the Friday prediction, we have had the exact same stance. And to prove it, because people like to say, Jeb, you change your mind. No, I don't. To prove it, this was our tweet. The 4-year halving cycle is dead. I predict $162,000 Bitcoin by July 1st, 2026. Prepare for the possible correction as deep as $75,000 before January 1st of 2026. The next rally will be enormous. And on this chart, as you can see, we have 3 possibilities. There's a 45% chance Bitcoin holds 110. There's a 45% chance that Bitcoin drops down to the uptrend that we're talking about, or to $100,000 in this zone and bounces. And there's a 10% chance that we have a bear market, and that bear market bottoms at $75,000, but it would be a temporary and a short-lived bear market below that uptrending level of support, from which Bitcoin would most likely recover very rapidly. And in all cases, I expect Bitcoin to be trading well north of $150,000 by the middle part of next year. That's what I expect. That is my current model of where I think Bitcoin is going. I think that Bitcoin is going to bottom out at some point soon. We don't know exactly when. It might have just bottomed out at 108. It could have. It's very hard to call the bottoms on these things. But most likely what's going to happen is now that we've broken below the 20 weekly EMA, we are now entering into this phase of the market that we have seen a couple of times now. We're entering into this phase that we saw in July, August, and September of 2024, and this phase of the market that we saw in March and April of 2025, where everybody thinks Bitcoin is dead, and people like me are buying the crap out of it. I would love to buy your Bitcoin, so if you're selling it on exchanges, I'll take it. I'll take it. My worst case scenario that I see possible is that Bitcoin drops down to 75. In like a 1% case, Bitcoin could theoretically drop down to 50K. Like 1% chance Bitcoin drops down to 50K. I don't really see that taking place, though. 99% likelihood Bitcoin stays above $75,000 for the rest of time. So what we're looking at right now, to be very clear, is that Bitcoin has an opportunity for you to buy it. Bitcoin will probably, because we're breaking longer term chart formations on the weekly chart, drop considerably over the next few weeks to months. You're going to see an October, right? And you're going to see Bitcoin drop down towards 100, 102, 104, somewhere in there. And then we're probably going to bounce, and wise investors are going to buy this trend line. They're going to buy that trend line because that's the exact same kind of trend line that you saw on gold when the gold ETF came out. You just saw this massive, massive, massive uptrend. Right after the GLD ETF came out, you just saw boom, just straight vertical, and gold went parabolic. The exact same thing is probably going to happen to Bitcoin now that the Bitcoin ETF is online. So why is Bitcoin dropping? Why is Bitcoin dropping here, and why am I saying stay out of longs? Well, I'm saying stay out of longs because on the minute chart, Bitcoin might be bouncing or bouncing around, whatever. What we are seeing right now is on the weekly chart, Bitcoin is breaking fundamental support. We're breaking support at 110, which was a very important support line. We're breaking the 20 weekly EMA here, which was at 110, right? We're breaking these support levels, which is going to give the bears a lot more fuel. A lot of people are opening up shorts right now, and their exits are going to be 110,000. And so with all of that taking place, it is time to begin doing a couple of things. It is time to sit on your hands if you're a trader looking for a long. There's going to be long opportunities. They're coming. But if you're an investor, it is time to start laddering in my opinion. It is time to say that Bitcoin is now down, even with institutional inflows, almost 15% from all-time high. And so it's now seemingly the time that Bitcoin is going to want to drop back down to that uptrend, possibly fill the CME futures gap, and go into a rally. Now, here's the other thing that I want to talk about, and this is really important. That is the idea that Bitcoin has probably left 5 figures behind. Most likely, Bitcoin has left 5 figures behind. I'm going to show you this chart. This chart is a beautiful chart, and I'm going to be making a video detailing this and kind of explaining this in a lot of detail. This chart right here shows whenever Bitcoin transitioned from one number of digits to the next. And it's really interesting to me because when Bitcoin actually breaches into, the next number of digits, and it stays there for long enough, it gets traction and it goes on a parabolic uptrend. So these vertical lines right here represent the date that Bitcoin broke into a new number of digits and never went below it ever again. For example, right here, August the 12th, 2013 is roughly the time that we broke in away from 2 digits up to 3 digits. And almost immediately, Bitcoin exploded straight up to 4 digits. You see that? Like almost immediately, we rallied from $100 to $1,000, 1000x movement. We only stayed above $1,000 for a couple of days, and then we ended up having to go through a lot of accumulation inside of the 3 digits, right? We dropped from $1,000 back down to $200, but we never went below $100 ever again. Once we finally broke above 4 digits with confidence, Bitcoin went through a massive rally, and Bitcoin rallied 2,000% all the way to $20,000. We broke all the way through into the 5 digits, but we didn't stay up there for long enough. Bitcoin couldn't hold it. There wasn't enough support. So Bitcoin desperately needed to have a big correction, and that's what happened. When Bitcoin finally broke above the five digits and stayed up there, it went through a massive rally, and we rallied all the way up to $66,000. And now we've spent a great amount of time sitting in the 5 digits. In fact, we spent over 7 years sitting in over 5 years sitting in 5-digit territory. And Bitcoin recently, just kind of clean all this chart up as much as we can. There's a bunch of short-term stuff on here I got to get rid of. If you look at the chart here, what you're going to see happen is that Bitcoin has spent more time in the 5-digit territory than it has ever spent in a new number of digits and not held there. So what I mean by that is Bitcoin has been above $100,000 in the 6-digit territory now for over 160 days. The last time that we saw Bitcoin spend 160 days nonstop with no corrections into the previous era, that was back here. And we saw Bitcoin rally 600%, right? From $10,000 up to $60,000. Back over here, when we finally established ourselves above $1,000, Bitcoin rallied to $20,000, a 20x movement after that. And so I think what we're seeing right now is that similarly to how Bitcoin confidently broke through $1,000 and then left it behind for good, and how Bitcoin broke through $10,000 and confidently left it behind for good, and how Bitcoin broke through $100 and confidently left it behind for good. I think that you're beginning a new epoch where Bitcoin is going to spend the rest of history above $100,000. And as we've seen in history, maybe you drop below into the previous epoch for a little while, maybe a couple of days, maybe a couple of months, maybe a year. But once you've spent 160 days in the new zone, in this case, 6 figures is the new fair market value for Bitcoin. In other words, on the day that we left behind $100 for good, Bitcoin's fair market value was now forevermore above $100. After Bitcoin left behind $1,000 and we, got some traction away from it, Bitcoin's fair market value was forevermore more than $1,000. And the same thing happened when we broke through $10,000 and left it behind forevermore. The fair market value of Bitcoin was more than $10,000. The bear market bottom was $15,000. And so what I think you're going to see happen here is that since Bitcoin has spent such an enormous amount of time above $100,000, I don't think you're done. If you'll notice, these events where we crossed into another digit happened in the middle of a bull market. You see that? They happened in the middle of a bull market. They didn't happen at the end of a bull market. They happened in the middle of the bull market, indicating that the next half of the bull market is still to come. Bitcoin's not just going to moonshot to $1 million by 2027. That's not going to happen. I mean, we've got to have, we've got to have a realistic outlook on that with diminishing returns. But Bitcoin is almost certainly going to go to $200, $300, $400, $500,000 a coin, $1 million a coin, and you're probably going to spend the next 7 to 10 years in this epoch between $1,000 and $1 million, between $100,000 and $1 million. And sometime out in the 2030s, you're going to see Bitcoin breach $1 million, and then it's going to spend time in the next epoch between $1 million and $10 million, and eventually it's going to break $10 million, and it's going to go towards $100 million, out towards 2040, 2050, 2060, 2070 territory. And so what we're looking at right now is a phase shift in Bitcoin. I've watched this happen. I got in just after the second one right here. I've watched this happen one time now, and we're about to see it happen again. Bitcoin is now establishing confidence above 6 digits. And as Bitcoin establishes confidence above 6 digits, $100,000 becomes almost unshakable support. And there is a day coming, and that day may not be here yet, but there is a day coming where a sub $100,000 Bitcoin is a distant memory that will never happen again. And so when you look at the long-term chart like that, and when you look at the long-term history of Bitcoin, you realize that now that we have established $100,000 as fair market value for Bitcoin, anything below $100,000 is an extreme buying zone. If you look at the chart, look in these red zones. Bitcoin never, ever, ever went into these red boxes. Imagine if it did. Imagine if Bitcoin, just imagine for a second, Bitcoin went back below $10,000. Would you buy it? I would. Imagine if back here, Bitcoin's at $65,000, dropped down below 10,000. Would you buy it? I would, right? With the benefit of hindsight. And so I encourage you to pay attention to the long-term chart, because what's going to happen here is that if you pay too much attention down to the minute chart where you're thinking, oh my gosh, Bitcoin's going to drop down to $100,000. If you pay too much attention down there, what's going to happen is you're going to freak yourself out. You're going to shake yourself out of your positions. Now, I don't know whether on the minute chart Bitcoin's going to break bullish here or break bearish. What I will say is that there is a great deal of fear in the market, and that fear could drive Bitcoin very low. It's also possible that what Bitcoin does here over the next couple of days is that Bitcoin dropping down here, down to $107,000, $108,000, which is what we just did, establishes an inverse head and shoulders pattern. We go on higher. But what I do have a great deal of confidence about is that if Bitcoin did somehow find the bearish strength to drop back down to this uptrend, I am quite confident that it will hold. And if it didn't, my goodness, if it didn't, I would buy as much Bitcoin as I possibly could anywhere in this zone, because Bitcoin will spend the vast majority of its future well above that trend line. So if Bitcoin did, for some reason, drop below that line, then I would be buying a lot of it. Here's the deal, guys. You have the opportunity to make a great deal of wealth over the next few months as Bitcoin drops. But you have to understand what that means. Wealth comes from two events, a buy and a sell. If you make wealth in rental properties, you have to buy the rental property and then you sell it. You have to plant the seed on the farm and you have to harvest it. You have the child and then you watch the child grow up. You buy 1,000 head of cattle and you watch those cattle grow up and then you slaughter them, right? Whatever it may be. You buy gold, you sell it. You buy the stock market, you sell it. To make money, you enter into a new job and then you reap the fruit of getting a paycheck. To build wealth, there has to be a planting and there has to be a harvesting. And many of you guys are more interested in the harvesting than you are in the planting, and the reason that you're doing that is because the harvesting is the fun part. But some of you are trying to harvest a crop that doesn't exist. Some of you don't realize that it is more important that a farmer plant seed at the right time than it is that they harvest it at the right time. Because the harvest will come if you plant it correctly and if you tend to that investment, if you tend to that crop. And so with Bitcoin, some of you do not realize that what I'm talking about a flush out down to $94,000 to $100,000, would be a phenomenal time to make an investment in Bitcoin. Because if Bitcoin drops lower, then all that means is that your entries got even better. All that means is you get to plant more seed. All that means that you get to buy more houses during the bottom in 2008. All that means is that you get better entries if Bitcoin drops below this uptrend. If it revisits this uptrend, that's a better entry than it is today. And so I want to encourage you to not be freaked out if we drop down here. Now, are we? Let's do some TA. Let's do some TA. Are we going to drop down to 94 to 100,000? I'm leaning in that direction. Well, I'm not totally confident. I'm leaning in that direction. Part of the reason is because if you pull an inverse fib off of here, what you'll see is that Bitcoin has only dropped down to the 0.382, $106,000. We dropped down right here to 107, 106, pretty close. We're basically right there now. I will say this, over the next few days, there is probably going to you could see a great deal of support coming in at 107. And it is possible that 106,400 holds. Like, I'm not going to sit here and say for an absolute fact that Bitcoin's going to drop down to 100, because there is a big part of me that feels that if not now, at some point in the next 12 months, Bitcoin is going to leave behind $100,000 forever. That's what I think. At some point in the next 12 months, Bitcoin is probably going to leave behind $100,000 forever. So it's possible we don't even drop down there. It's possible that the support is strong enough up here that along at 106.4 or along even right now could be profitable. It really could be. The bottom is somewhere between where we are right now and this uptrend. That's what, it's somewhere in here. I don't know exactly where, but somewhere in here, the bottom is, and if you invest and or long in this area, you're probably going to perform very well. On the other hand, if you look at our previous market and you draw the exact same fib from bottom to top, the market followed the Fibonacci's perfectly. At one point in time, even before the fib was set, we dropped down to 0.382. Then we dropped down to 0.5 at 81,000. And the bottom was at the 0.618 Fibonacci level right here, which makes sense. It's a Fibonacci. It's Fibonacci. Bitcoin retraces back down, excuse me, to the Fibonacci golden pocket. It's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. Very, very, very simple market structure. Reminds me a lot of the 2017 bull market, actually. Reminds me a lot of the 2017 bull market. Let's mention that real quick. Reminds me so much of the 2017 bull market. As Bitcoin was moving up here, it just laddered up and up and up. Bitcoin would drop back down to the previous all-time high, find it as support, and would bounce off it. Rally to 3,000, drop back down to 1,800. Rally to 5,000, drop to 3,000. Rally to 8,000, drop to 5,000, and then blow off top. We're not up here. We'd be like right in here, right? Reminds me so much of the previous of 2 bull markets ago. But anyway, my point is that in the previous rally, we saw Bitcoin drop down to, you guessed it, the Fibonacci golden pocket. In the rally before that, the one that was driven on by the ETFs, you saw Bitcoin drop down to the 0.5, right? In neither of these bull markets did you see, in neither of these rallies, did you see Bitcoin only drop down to the 0.382. The 0.382 in this case was $54,000. We ended up having a wick. Well, actually, I take that back. We did drop down to the 0.382 here, but we did have a wick down to 0.5. Excuse me. Apologies. In this case, we dropped down to 0.5 and 0.786. I'm sorry, 0.618. In this case, if we were to drop, we're probably going to hold support either here at 106, or we're going to drop down to 100, or we might drop down to 92.3. Most likely we drop to 100, less likely we hold at 106, and less likely we drop down to 93. In general, we probably drop somewhere around 100. And so the long-term investors see these patterns. Like, I just want you to understand, Wall Street sees this. Like, I mean, this is like day 1, hour 0 of being a technical analyst at BlackRock. Like, I mean, this is really, really simple stuff. This is mind-shatteringly simple stuff. Everybody sees these fibs. This is not, I mean, this is not like groundbreaking stuff I'm sharing with you. You may have never seen it, but all the experts are looking at this exact same fib that I'm drawing right now. This is exactly what they're looking at. And they've got all their buy orders down here at 106, and they've got all their buy orders down here at 100,000. They got all their buy orders down here at 93. And just so happens that 93 matches up with the CME futures gap. Again, do not see a drop below 92 happening anytime soon. Don't see that happening. So, what do? As Bitcoin drops lower, we buy more. So here's what you can do, practically speaking. If you are an investor, you can double your dollar cost average. That's what you can do. You can just say, I'm going to double my dollar cost average for the next 2 months. While Bitcoin's below 110, I'm just going to double my dollar cost average. I mean, that's something that you can do, genuinely. You can just say, I normally dollar cost average $100 a week. I'm going to dollar cost average $200 a week. You can say, I normally put $100,000 a month into Bitcoin. I'm going to put $200,000 a month into Bitcoin. You can say, I normally buy 1 Bitcoin every month. I'm going to buy 2 Bitcoin this month. You know, whatever it is. Maybe I'm going to buy $1,000 this month, whereas normally I'd buy $500. Whatever it is. I have coached people that have $5 to their name, and I just got done coaching a dude with $10 million yesterday. You know, I see all walks of life. I see all shapes and sizes of investors. And all that matters to me is that you follow wise principles. And generally speaking, as Bitcoin gets farther away from all-time high, it becomes a better buy. So you buy more when it gets farther away from all-time high. And you make sure that you have an income with which you can buy Bitcoin. And it's really that simple. You don't have to complicate it more than that. It's really that simple. And so with Bitcoin breaking these technicals, it does make me say, I don't really know that right now is a great time to go into a long trade. But now is not a terrible time to enter into a long-term investment. That'd be my counsel on this. What I will say also down here on the 5-minute chart, we do have this bear flag forming. In the next few minutes, this may end up having a precipitous corrective movement. If it does, maybe we drop down to 106, that longer-term fib level that I just talked about, right? Maybe we drop down to 106. I mean, that would be a decent price target, right? I mean, theoretically, this price target would put us down to 104.7. But I mean, if 106 is a very strong support, $106,000 could end up being our price target. At that point in time, you might say, okay, I might consider buying down there. And it would make sense if you drew a trend line right here. You'll see at that point down at 106, Bitcoin could fall down there. You want to wait for technical confirmation to go into a long, or you want to wait until Bitcoin is sitting above very strong support to go into a long trade. And right now, Bitcoin is doing neither. It's kind of in bearish price discovery mode. And so you need to give it time to establish some kind of support architecture. So why is Bitcoin crashing right now? I mean, that's a question. Why is Bitcoin down? This is why. This is exactly why. Gold is moonshotting. And you know what? Gold should moonshot. Gold deserves it. Gold's a great asset. Can't keep it up forever. This is the monthly chart of gold. And yes, I am kind of comically framing this to make it look funny. It literally looks like the God candle that everybody talks about. But of course, it is just one part of a larger narrative on gold. Something you need to understand about gold is that it's going to have a correction at some point. I'm not saying that the bear market has to happen right now. Gold is an extremely good asset. It's a great asset. And so it will continue rallying. But at some point soon, it's going to take a breather. For example, back in 1973 was the last time that we saw gold's RSI this high. But the thing you have to keep in mind is that did signal a local top on gold, and gold corrected for 4 months. But within 12 months of gold's 94 touch on RSI, gold was up 44%. So I'm not saying you should sell your gold, right? If you're holding gold for the long term, not a bad idea. What I will say is that at some point, gold is going to need to take a 3 to 6 month correction at minimum. That might be today. That might be 3 months from now. But at some point within the next 3 to 6 months, gold will need to correct for probably 3 to 6 months. Sometime within 3 to 6 months, gold will correct for 3 to 6 months. It might drop 10%, it might drop 20%, it might, it could do anything. But people that have been holding gold for years, I mean, are you kidding me? Would they not sell it? Of course they're going to take profits up here. It's very difficult to call a local top, but what I can tell you is that at some point, technically speaking, I don't know when it'll be. I don't know if it's going to be next week. I don't know if it's going to be today. I don't know if it's going to be next year. But at some point, gold is going to put a local top in, and the rotation into Bitcoin is going to be absolutely enormous. Gold in the last 7 days is up $2.3 trillion. Gold in the last 7 days has added more value than the entire market cap of Bitcoin. Gold has also been rallying 8 days in a row. I don't even know if TradingView still has TD sequential, but this will be a 9 flash next week on an indicator called the TD sequential. Is it even on TradingView anymore? I don't know. I haven't used TD sequential in a long time, but I will tell you exactly what it would say. Is it here still? Man, TD sequential was a beautiful technical indicator. Boom, there you go. There's your 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Boom. You see that? 9 and 13 on TD sequential are numbers you need to look at. We're on a 9 flash on TD sequential. That's 9 green in a row. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Gold will take a correction at some point. It will have a down week at some point in the next month. It's going to happen. I'm not saying it's the end of the bull market on gold. I've also said that gold will go to $10,000 by the end of the decade. I'm very, very confident that's going to happen. But when gold takes so much as a breath, the rotation into Bitcoin is going to be absolutely enormous. And if Bitcoin is in the middle, kind of piece all this together with me. Especially all you guys calling me an idiot in the chat. I love hearing that. I love hearing that. I love it. I love when people say that. It's so funny. If Bitcoin is in the middle of this correction down to this uptrend, when gold is having a blow off top and then gold has a correction and crashes, what happens to all that money? It rotates. Where does it rotate? It rotates into Bitcoin. If even 10% of people that buy gold believe in Bitcoin, and they put 10% of their profit into Bitcoin, you get a 1% rotation. You're looking at hundreds of billions of dollars flowing into Bitcoin. It's really freaking simple. Gold over dollar, over Bitcoin. Gold runs first. Bitcoin runs second. You see that? You see? Do you see this? Gold runs first. Bitcoin runs second. Gold runs first. Bitcoin runs second. It's the natural order of things. I've said before, Bitcoin runs first, altcoins run second, because Bitcoin is the top dog. It is alpha in the room of crypto. The king eats first. Bitcoin rallies before altcoins. Well, for now, gold is the king of Bitcoin. So the king eats first. Back here in 2019 and 2020, gold rallied first. Bitcoin rallied second, but Bitcoin rallied harder. Bitcoin is an altcoin compared to gold. People don't like to hear that because everybody hates gold. I don't have any gold. I'd love to buy some gold. I probably will if it has a correction. I'm not buying it at these highs. Heck no. I don't care if it goes to $6,000, drops back to $4,500, and I buy it higher than it is right now. I'm just not doing it. I just don't buy into this high of RSI. But I'd love to have some gold. You guys hating on gold need to understand that gold is the predecessor. Gold is the reason that we understand what hard money is. So stop hating on gold and start understanding that there are cycles between gold and Bitcoin. And when gold takes a break, which it will eventually, we don't get to choose when that happens because remember, gold is top dog. But when gold does eventually take a breather, the rotation into Bitcoin is going to be absolutely enormous. I mean, it's going to be gigantic. Even here, we saw the gold run while Bitcoin was down. And then when gold stopped, Bitcoin ran. There is somewhat of an inverse correlation between the two. When gold's taking a breather, we have Bitcoin run. Don't hate on gold. Gold running is very good for Bitcoin. Gold sitting at a $30 trillion market cap just brought Bitcoin's possible price target way higher. I've always run my 10-year price targets on Bitcoin based off of gold's current market capitalization. If gold is currently worth $30 trillion and Bitcoin is worth $2 trillion, then that means in 10 years I can expect Bitcoin to 15x because I believe that Bitcoin is 10 years behind gold. You see what I just did there? If gold's current market cap is $30 trillion, and Bitcoin is 10 years behind gold's market cap, 8 to 10 years behind gold's market cap, then that means that in the next 10 years, I expect Bitcoin trading at $1.5 million a coin. I don't see a 15x happening on gold. I could see a 15x happening on Bitcoin in the next 10 years, though. And so gold running higher just brings my price targets on Bitcoin way higher. Way higher. Way higher. And so I would highly encourage you to understand this. These are long-term forces at play that do not care about your short-term TA. They don't care. This little bear flag that's forming here on the minute chart, it might break bullish, might break bearish. I don't care. I don't know. If it breaks bearish, great. Better entries. Love it. If it breaks bullish, cool. Maybe Bitcoin likes $108,000 of support. I mean, it is the same zone here that we've dropped down into multiple times recently. Let's just remove gold for a second. It is the same zone, right? If you look right here, it is the exact same zone, right? It's the same support zone. So it's possible that Bitcoin just has a bounce down here and we rally. My issue is that a lot of times you don't see triple bottoms and you don't see triple tops. You see double bottoms and you see double tops. If you see a triple, that typically means that the third touch is going to be a break of that zone. And so I would anticipate, especially when they're close together, if they were super far apart, it'd be different. But especially if they're very close together, at some point, that's when you start to say that zone has become under fire too much, and it is prudent to consider the idea that it might break. So, a couple of takeaways. Number one, wait to enter longs. Wait to enter longs. At the very least, get back up above this trend line. At the very least. At the very least, get above this trend line. You're in stop loss territory right now. You don't enter into a long when you're in stop loss territory. You just don't do that. It's just not the way. It's just not. That's not how you make money. Number two, look at this downtrend. It's a very steep downtrend. Very steep downtrend. It will break at some point. It will break at some point. Because it points at like $100,000 like at $0 like next year. It will break at some point. And when it does, and we backtest it, boom, there's your entry. Not only because you have backtest on resistance that is now flipped to support, but also because at that point you'd have an uptrending level of support that is your new safety line. If you're looking to enter into a trade, this is when you do it. Right there. Boom. That's how you do it. If you're an investor, the lower we go, the more you buy. Really gets that simple. Don't ever let your investable cash drop to zero. Always, always, always have dry powder. Even if Bitcoin is down 70%, keep a few bucks in the tank because Bitcoin could always go lower. But as we go lower, you get more aggressive on your buying to lower your average cost basis because your dream is to get your ACB, your average cost basis, as low as possible so that when Bitcoin goes higher, you get as high of a return as possible. That is the methodology of an investor. And do not be surprised if Bitcoin drops farther from here. Be prepared for if Bitcoin drops farther from here. Be prepared for a short-term crash down to $100,000. Make sure that you have liquidation levels very low, and make sure that you're ready to buy when the rotation out of gold happens, because it's going to happen. Oh, and by the way, the 4-year halving cycle is dead. Most likely it's dead. You're not going to see, at least in my opinion, you're not going to see a 78% crash off of our current all-time high like you did last time. That would bring Bitcoin down to $27,000 a coin. In no scenario do I see any possible way that Bitcoin gets down to $27,000 a coin. I mean, really worst case scenario, maybe 50. But $23,000 a coin, it just ain't happening. You're not going to see the same 78% crash that you saw just because we didn't see the same like 20 million% rally that we saw in the last bull markets. So don't get freaked out. Bitcoin's in great shape. Could not encourage you more. Could not encourage you more on Bitcoin. Let's read a little bit of chat. Really appreciate all of you guys being here today. What happened to Uptober? Here's what happened to Uptober. Uptober, I believe, what I'm starting to realize is that Uptober maybe was built on the 4-year halving cycle. And if the 4-year halving cycle is dead, maybe the seasonality of Bitcoin's dead also. I mean, maybe so. The 4-year halving cycle was based on years, right? It's possible that that some of our seasonality is going to change over the next few years. We go into 90. I'd say 90,000 is the lowest I would see Bitcoin going. If we do go down there, that would be where I'd be saying enter a long. Just a normal dump. Live this last bull market. Buy or cry in 2 weeks. Yep, pretty much. Highly, highly, highly encourage spot investment for 5 years minimum at this price. Highly encourage it. I will not tell you what to do. I'm not your financial advisor. I don't want to be. I'll highly encourage you to buy spot. You do what you want. What I will not encourage you to do is go into a leverage long right now. You need to wait for more technical confirmation on that because I don't want you getting burned. All right, let's read some chat. Good TA. Jeb had the thickest conviction. Brother, I've always had conviction in Bitcoin. I bet my entire fortune on it. I believe in Bitcoin. I always like Jeb. Good dude. Thank you. Bitcoin's a lot lighter than gold. Hence why Bitcoin will rally faster than gold. Except right now while Bitcoin's losing money. Oh, that's just for now. It'll take time. Don't worry. Gold is being used as a USD shelter because of our trillions of debt. That is correct. And you're going to see a rotation into Bitcoin at some point. Jeb, wouldn't you agree that holding alts isn't a good move right now? Due to if we go further, alts drop more than Bitcoin, but if we go up, Bitcoin will outperform alts until Bitcoin gets back to ATH. I would say that. I'm not buying alts. I'm going to be honest, I haven't bought alts in like 2 years. I buy Bitcoin. I bought so much Bitcoin. I don't care. Here's what I do. I'm not trying to chase the next 100x. You know who's trying to teach you to chase the next 100x? People that are trying to make money off of you. Because here's the deal. If you make the largest video on the number 50 altcoin, you get 500 subscribers. You know how I know that? Because when I talk about altcoins, I get way more subs and I get way more views. If I went and made a Cardano video right now, I would probably get 70,000 views on that and I'd probably get 800 subscribers. And I might do it because I love Cardano, but I'm not going to go. What a lot of people do is they say, oh, well, here's this altcoin at number 260 on CoinMarketCap. You just need to buy this because it's going to 100x. Well, how do you know that? There's no evidence of that. The project's dead. That's really freaking stupid is what that is. I have not bought altcoin since late 23 on into like mid 24. It's been like 18 months. I bought hardly any altcoins. I did, however, dump hundreds of thousands of dollars into Bitcoin below 100K and just over 100K. Some of those trades are at break even. Some of them are down. I have entries at 118. I don't care. Couldn't care less. They're going to be 10 times higher in 10 years. I don't care. I do not care. What I do is I build a business that makes money. Newsflash, this channel makes money. Newsflash, we have sponsors. Newsflash, here in a second when I tell you about iTrust Capital, it's almost like they're sponsoring the channel. Right? It's a good product. We believe in it. We run every single sponsorship through integrity, but this is a business. This is a business. I have a family to feed. The laborer the laborer should be paid his wages, right? I build a business that provides value to people. And when I provide value to people, I get a compliment in the form of dollars. And then what I do is I convert that compliment that came in the form of dollars into the hard currency that is Bitcoin, and then I just wait. And it's really boring, and it works really well, and most of you couldn't do it because you don't have the patience for it. It's that simple. It really is that simple. Really is that simple. Whatever you do for work, go be really freaking good at it. Just melt faces at it. If you're the best salesperson in the job, just absolutely dominate everybody. If you are a teacher, just be the best teacher in the entire school and get a promotion and make more money. Advocate for getting paid a percentage of revenue. Whatever it is, go make more money. And buy the living hell out of Bitcoin as it drops here. If it goes lower, you buy more. Making sure you follow the FinSov way, making sure you have some cash savings, making sure that you have a stable income, making sure that you have low consumer debt or even ideally no consumer debt, etc. That's how you're going to make money. And you're going to hold it for 10 to 15 years. You can play around in altcoins. Do that with a small portion. You can play around with leverage trading. That's not a bad idea. You can make money in leverage trading. Do it with a small portion of your net worth. The vast majority of your net worth should be in long-term holdings that you plan on holding for at least a decade. That's if you want to make money. If you don't want to make money, then you can go make up your own rules. But that's how everybody that I have ever heard of in my entire life has made money. They buy something that they believe in, and they wake up in 10 years, and it's worth 20 times as much, and they say, wow, I'm really glad I had conviction. Let's watch the minute chart. Bitcoin's going through a correction here. Remember, I went out on a limb. I told you guys, don't go into longs. Let's see if it was a good idea to say that. We'll see. I don't know. Maybe Bitcoin bottoms here. But we're currently testing this uptrend. I'm going to read some chat while I watch this with you guys. Got to wrap it out here in the next 15, 20 minutes. Let's see. There we go. 107,900. Let's see it. Because what happens if you break this uptrend is you're going to see some liquidations. You're going to see people that are revenge trading, going long, getting liquidated. And it's going to be really sad if it drops down here to 106 like I'm talking about. Let's read some chat. The way you are the best is by not giving up. Most will quit. The one left standing wins. Exactly. That's how I've survived 2 bear markets. And if we have a big crash, we're going to have another bear market that we've survived. Laugh until you're broke. Let's see. Let's read some chat. Sailor going on Rogan. There is talk that Sailor went on Rogan yesterday. That'd be great. Might be a bottom signal. Might reverse the market. Might also have absolutely no impact in the market because all it is one guy going on another guy's stream. It also might have no impact on the market at all because it's great and all, but who really cares? I mean, Donald Trump loves Bitcoin. That's way bigger than Sailor going on Rogan. I know Sailor. I've interviewed Sailor. Sailor's a great guy. He's been on our show. But him going on Rogan, I don't think is going to be the be-all, end-all of Bitcoin or cryptocurrency adoption. People are like saying, oh, that's going to save the market. No, I mean, the market doesn't need saving. The market's fine. You got to be patient. Crypto closes trades. Now he's going to get some new ones. Yeah, pretty much. I saw that Crypto trade closed out like 200 Bitcoin, 190 Bitcoin worth of profit, something like that. Let's see if we bounce here. This is interesting. It's interesting to watch. Make sure you're in a position where you don't get shaken out of your long-term holdings. That's the most important thing. Win dry powder zone. Anytime below 15% from all-time high is pretty good. Louis Person is in chat. How you doing? Said support. Break that resistance down. By the way, I do want to mention, I said stay out of longs. I did not tell you to open a short trade. Did not do that. I didn't say that. Please just keep that in mind. I did not say open a short trade. I've been DCAing since February 12th, 2022. Obviously, the post-bull downslope, but picked up a lot in the lows. And now this is my first bull run. All those buys are green. Let's go. That's right. Buy BTC. Don't look at it. Just hodl. That's the idea. Y'all, I've watched Bitcoin 40x. And I'm going to watch it happen again. I watched Bitcoin rally from $3,000 to $120,000 in 7.5 years. And I'm going to see Bitcoin do something very similar, maybe slightly less, but something very similar in the next 7.5 years as well. So watch this pattern. I don't know which way it's going to break, but once it breaks, that's where you're going to have confidence about where we're going. Guys, if you haven't already, make sure that you sign up for iTrust Capital. I'm going to tell you exactly why. I'm going to tell you why I use iTrust Capital, and I'm going to tell you why you should too. iTrust Capital is going to help save you money because you're not going to have to pay as much money to Uncle Sam. I don't know about you, but I don't like taxes. I really don't like taxes. I am not a big fan of taxes. I do not like paying Uncle Sam. And so I use every single tax avoidance strategy known to man that I can come up with. Anything and everything that I can figure out to legally avoid taxes, I do it. And one of the things that you can do to avoid taxes is by maxing out your traditional IRA so that you can use that investment as a deduction against your income so that you don't have to pay as much taxes in that highest marginal tax bracket, excuse me. Or you can invest in a Roth IRA so that you don't have to, just checking the price here, or you can invest in a Roth IRA so that you don't have to pay taxes into retirement. iTrust Capital is going to help you do that. So if you're looking at investing in Bitcoin, buying these lows that we're about to see happen, I highly encourage you, if you're investing in Bitcoin, to check out iTrust Capital with the link in the description box down below. That's itrustcapital.com/crypto-jeb. If you sign up and deposit funds, they will give you a $100 funding bonus for free, and it'll let them know that we sent you. Very, very, very proud to have iTrust Capital as a sponsor on the channel. Highly recommend you check them out. Highly recommend you sign up. We use iTrust Capital. We will be putting Bitcoin money into our IRAs through iTrust Capital, through into Bitcoin at the beginning of the year as we're able to invest more, and I highly encourage you to do the exact same thing. Very, very, very much worth it. If you're looking to buy Bitcoin spot, Ethereum spot, Cardano spot in a retirement tax advantage account, iTrust Capital is the most trustworthy place in the entire cryptocurrency space to do just that. There is no better place than iTrust Capital to invest in Bitcoin in your retirement account. So make sure to check them out with the link in the description box down below. Let's adjust this trend line a little bit because I think it needs a little bit of adjusting. It kind of looks like it's breaking, but not quite. There we go. That looks better. It's not breaking just yet. Just keep that in mind. All right? It very well probably will soon. But it hasn't just yet. There we go. There's the correction. There's the correction. There's the blood in the water. Can you smell it? Can you smell the fear? Can you smell the fear? You know, sometimes you have to step outside of yourself and look as a market participant. Sometimes you have to look, sorry, not as a market participant. Sometimes you have to look at Bitcoin through the lens of someone who is not a market participant, as if you were on the sidelines. Just look at Bitcoin and pretend you didn't own any. Look at Bitcoin and pretend you had no emotional attachment whatsoever to the chart. What would you see? You'd say, that looks like a correction. That looks like it's going to drop. Oh, wow, look at that. Nice wick being bought up. Okay, I do want to point this out. Look at these long shadows, these long wicks. You see those? You see those? And even this long wick right here. That does, and I will say to the credit of the bulls, and this is why I told you not to enter into a short trade. These long wicks do indicate that there is a lot of people on exchange right now, not limit orders, people that are watching the market manually placing trades. You notice that? These long wicks. The order books are drying up. The liquidity is getting thin. By the way, this is the Coinbase chart. Okay, this isn't some random tiny little exchange. This is the Coinbase chart. These long shadows show that there's a lot of people that are sitting here watching this market saying, I like that price. We can still drop from here, but I do just want you to understand that this is a sign that the bulls are, they are present, they are active, and we might drop, but there are people looking for entries. There's a lot of people on the sidelines looking for entries. Here comes the flush, as we've talked about. I've said that it was a dangerous time to long. I hope you guys listened to that. If you were in a long, I hope you closed it. So let's watch what happens here. Maybe Bitcoin gets bought up. Oop, there's a minute chart close. That's pretty damning. That's pretty damning. Look at the candle bodies. You have this downtrend here. So yeah. Moving in that direction. At the end of the day, guys, you have to understand there is an enormous amount of support architecture going on beneath Bitcoin. It's not something you should stress about. The lower we go, the better the entry you get. Friday's coming up. Some of y'all are going to be very happy to see Bitcoin down here on a Friday because you're going to get a paycheck and you're going to say, man, I'll put 20% of that in Bitcoin. If you are a true believer in Bitcoin, lower prices on Bitcoin are a blessing. And as Bitcoin drops here, hopefully you're in a financial position where this doesn't scare you. Do not be surprised if Bitcoin drops considerably and even relatively quickly. If it does, this is an opportunity. This is an opportunity. And by the way, guys, in far less mature cycles in Bitcoin's history, bear markets have lasted 18 months. It's really not that big of a deal, even if we did go into a full-on bear market. It's not the end of Bitcoin. It's just not. So let's look at this. Let's look at the 15-minute chart. Is there? Oh, there is this. Okay, I was thinking so. At least for right now, there is bullish RSI divergence. So I will give this as credit to the bulls. That bullish RSI divergence is nice. I like that. Even on the 5-minute chart, there it is. There's that 5-minute chart bullish RSI divergence. Can we find it on the minute chart? Yeah, we can. Look at that. So there is bullish RSI div, right? If Bitcoin does hold down here and people do buy up this dip, this could be a false crash, which is exactly why I told you not to enter into a short trade either, because Bitcoin really isn't sure what it's doing right now. It doesn't have a lot of conviction one way or the other. So just keep that in mind. For me, when I say bear market, I'm saying a drop down to $75,000 on Bitcoin, and altcoins would get eviscerated in that situation. Just to be clear. But Bitcoin would probably bounce. What I more so expect is going to happen is Bitcoin's going to drop down to between $94,000 and $100,000. And from there, Bitcoin will get bought up and we'll go into a massive breakout at some point in the next few months. So that's my take. By the way, if you guys have not already, make sure to sign up for Stampseed. Sign up for Stampseed. Make sure to buy Stampseed's products because Stampseed is going to allow you to protect your Bitcoin and cryptocurrency investments. You need to get Bitcoin in spot off exchanges so that if we go into a bear market, you're like, oh, that was a real yawn. So you're like, oh, I don't care. Your spot Bitcoin sitting on a piece of titanium, hidden somewhere in a safe, in your rafters, in your basement, in the backyard in a tin can. I don't care wherever you hold your Bitcoin. Does not care about the price of Bitcoin. Does not care. It does not care in the slightest what the price of Bitcoin is. It just does not care. And so if you sign up for Stampseed, you're going to be getting access to titanium that can withstand up to 3,300 degrees Fahrenheit, which is far hotter than house fires get, which means that if you sign up and purchase Stampseed products, you're going to be able to protect your Bitcoin not just from bear markets because you won't have it on exchanges where you're tempted to sell it. You can also protect it from fire, which is a very real possibility. So go ahead and purchase Stampseed's products. They're titanium. They send you with this really awesome hammer. Like this, it's heavy. This thing right here is awesome. I love this hammer. Like it's great. Love this thing. It's like a decoration that goes on my desk. This is going to help you stamp your seed phrases into titanium to keep you safe from fire and all that. So make sure to check them out. Links down below. By the way, one last thing to mention, if you want to get into our Discord server, highly recommend signing up for 2Bit. They're the perps exchange that we use, leverage trading platform. I'm holding off on leverage trading for just a moment because I want Bitcoin to establish more confidence in market structure and figure out where it's going. And frankly, I just don't like shorting during a bull market. So just not really interested in shorting Bitcoin. And I don't have an entry for a long yet, but make sure you sign up for 2Bit because if you sign up for 2Bit and deposit $100, then what we're going to be able to do is we're going to be able to have you get into the Discord server for free for a year. Which is the first cohort trading group. That's where the videos on the channel, they go out early over there. For example, you can see all of our videos go out early over here in the first cohort Discord server. This is where I'm talking to you guys, answering questions, you know, just overall interacting with the community. It's where a lot of people are doing a lot of winning trades. Very cool stuff. Don't forget also that we do have a sale running right now on the Cryptocurrency Technical Analysis Academy and also a sale on my 1-hour financial coaching. I would love to get to know you through 1-hour financial coaching, and I would also love to see you succeeding by signing up for the Cryptocurrency Technical Analysis Academy as well. I hope you guys are well. I hope you're mentally well. I hope you're spiritually well. I look forward greatly to this stream every single day, and I look forward to seeing you guys in the next video. If you enjoyed today's video, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, work hard to put yourself in a position where this kind of crash does not have to instill fear in your heart, where you are able to turn off work, go spend time with your wife and kids, have peace, because the purpose of investing in Bitcoin is to bring financial sovereignty, which in turn is supposed to bring financial peace. So if you don't have financial peace, understand that that is your spirit telling you that something is out of whack. You need to figure out what that is. And you need to get it in alignment. I would be more than happy to help you with that based on my almost decade of experience here doing just that in financial coaching, in the Discord server, etc. So make sure to check out all of that. Make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. I love you so much. And before I go, I do just first want to thank each and every single last one of you for watching, as always. And I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.